guys, and welcome to the Denver Astrology Meetup podcast. My name is Rosalie, and I am a Virgo Sun, Virgo Mercury, Sagittarius Moon, and Aquarius Rising, and I am joined here today by my lovely co-hosts.
Hello, I'm Zane. I go by he, him pronouns, and I am a Libra Sun, Gemini Moon, Pisces Rising, and Libra Mercury.
Mm-hmm. And I'm Bren. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm a Pisces Sun, Aries Moon, Aries Rising, and an Aquarius Mercury.
Very exciting. So today we are here to talk to you guys about the Hermetic Lots, which is, well, today is October 22nd at 10:34 a.m. We are recording Mountain Standard Time. And we are going to be talking about the Hermetic Lots, which is our last Denver Astrology Meetup topic. We'll give you like a brief overview of what to really use when going over the lots, as well as really what to look for. Quick disclaimer before we jump into it, the Hermetic Lots are just based off of the 7 visible planets. Arabic parts are all of the other mathematical calculations that there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of. When it comes to the Hermetic Lots and specifically calculating the lots of each of the 7 visible planets, there are a couple different techniques in which to do them. But if for any reason you want to calculate them a different way, astroseek.com has a beautiful data bank where you can find every single lot and every single lot calculation, even their different calculations throughout history. So just a good resource to keep in mind.
And just a note before we get started, we decided to do things a little different moving forward with these reviews of our presentation. We will go over a few of the slides and just have a very brief summary of what happened, but it's not going to be our main focus. We've decided after our lectures, we're just going to have a conversation related to whatever we talked about that day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get more information about what we're talking about at the meetups, come in person. Mm-hmm. Travel to Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or look forward to possible supplemental content coming your way soon.
And by coming through and joining us for our classes, that gives you an opportunity to build a little community, meet some other astrologers, ask us questions, and really just participate with the 2-hour-long lecture. However, today we will just be having more of a casual conversation about the lots.
Mm-hmm. Well, and another way, great reason to come to our meetups is also for you guys to share your wisdom. If I believe that everyone can be a teacher, so even if you're new to astrology, everyone has something to offer, and so we also want to learn from you. At least I do.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, no, I think that we workshop a lot in our lectures and in our meetups to be like, hey, here's this chart, now let's apply the things that we're talking about and learning about. Do you guys have anything that you first see?
And our audience participation is a really big part of what we do. I mean, each month we have so many people making comments, asking questions, really just adding to the discourse. Because in the lecture a couple days ago, we were talking about astrology and Billy Joel, and I don't really know Billy Joel that well, but someone in the audience knows a little bit about each.
A lot, yeah.
So, oh my god, wait, it was so fun. Can I share his story real quick?
Yeah.
His aunt, she was hitchhiking on the side of the road in New York and got picked up by Billy Joel before he was famous, and she just remembered thinking that he was a fucking creep.
Oh.
Because his entire back seat was just covered in sheet music. Covered and covered and covered in sheet music. She's like, what the fuck? Who are you?
That's crazy.
He's a sheety guy.
Yeah. That's...
Okay. That was good.
But during the lecture, you had mentioned the documentary a couple times. I started watching that. Sobbing. It's so good.
Mm-hmm. About Billy Joel?
Yes, it's
in his
on
life.
HBO, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna have to watch that.
It's a great documentary.
So before we get too much into what we talked about at the lecture, let's talk first about some of the upcoming things that are happening, not only in Astro Weather, but also the fact that Scorpio season is upon us, starting tomorrow. Tonight, technically, yes. Good catch. So we'll be talking a little bit about tarot and astrology, as well as the upcoming Samhain that it will be happening on October 31st / November 1st.
So, yes, on the 31st, we have Samhain, which is the last harvest season of the Wheel of the Witch, or the pagan calendar. It is the final holiday as well. It's the Celtic New Year, which I find to be really interesting because in the West, we celebrate the New Year and new life with birth in the spring. And with paganism, it's more so at death. That's when we celebrate this new life that's coming in. It is from sunset sunset October 31st to sunset November 1st. So during this time in various cultures, we have like
Dia de los Muertos.
Exactly, or Halloween. And that's just because during this time, it is known for the veil to the other side, to the other world being lifted. And now spirits and living people kind of walk together on the same plane. And because of that, this is a holiday of death and celebrating our ancestors. This is a celebration of divination in a more magical time. So around this time, if you're wanting to connect with a deity more or get in touch with your ancestors or even your own shadow work, the 31st and the 1st would be an excellent time for you to do so. Like I said, this is the third harvest season. This one has to do with like meats. So just during the night on the 31st or even on the 1st, you can just have a feast and really invite a bunch of like different types of food, but also include meats in your diet as well if you eat meat. If you don't, you can also celebrate with all sorts of vegetables and grains. Those are all the things that have been coming through the last 2 harvest seasons. But yes, this one is for the meats, the livestock.
Can I ask you a question about it?
Yeah,
So, well, specifically the day October 31st, like November 1st, like is there astrology supporting that as well specifically, or
it's not astrology, it's just more so the time frame between holidays, because Samhain is the halfway point between the autumn equinox and Yule, which is the winter solstice. So we're like halfway in between these 2 big periods in time. Because, of course, the winter solstice is our longest night, and then after that is a celebration of really the light coming back.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And so if you are looking for some things to do on like this night, like I said, divination would be great, but also really just work with some fire. This is a time period where like we start to realize, oh, it's super dark out now, like at 4 p.m. It's super cold. You walk outside, the coldness kind of hits your bones. So back in the day, people would celebrate with big bonfires. They would do this to invoke warmth throughout the upcoming winter, and they would use the smoke to cleanse themselves.
Is that where they would also do jack-o'-lanterns?
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
just because little things of fire?
Yeah. And so specifically with the jack-o'-lanterns, though, they would carve like scary faces into pumpkins or squashes or even radishes to protect themselves and scare away evil spirits that were walking throughout the night. That's also why we dress up in costumes, so that like when the spirits are walking around, they don't recognize us and bring them with them.
Okay, what are your guys' costume plans, though?
I'm always a cat. I can't escape it. But I'm going to be a lion, specifically this year. Okay. I'm a big cat. Usually I'm just a black cat, but I'm going to be a big cat.
A big cat?
Big cat.
Like a panther or just a lion?
Like a lion, yeah. Well, it's like leopard print, but then I have lion ears. So, I mean, I'm just a big cat.
That's
a big
fine.
cat.
I'm a mix. I'm a, what's it, a liger?
A liger?
Yeah, I'm like kind of like that.
A leopard
Nice.
tiger?
Yeah. What about you guys?
Last year, I just got like fake scars and wounds and covered myself in fake blood. So I think I'm going to do that again this year.
Hell yeah, easy peasy.
Yeah.
I will be driving 9 hours to southern Utah to go visit my absolute best friend,
That's
Earthy,
such a good costume.
who has, yes. So I'm going to be in a car the entire day, though. I'm not dressing up.
Well, that's kind of interesting, like what you were saying about Samhain and like the transition. It's like you're kind of transitioning, like you're traveling like a whole different place. So I wonder.
Oh, I'm just excited. I haven't seen Earthy in like over a year, so we're just really close friends, and I just miss that fucker and their cats. Sorry, continue.
No, you're okay. So a couple final notes before we move on into the tarot. This holiday, Samhain, kind of signifies the beginning of winter and thus like the long night. I had mentioned before, after Samhain, you kind of realize, oh, it's dark at 4 p.m. Love that. So Samhain is a great night to just like manifest and kind of envision how you want your winter to go. Really bring some mental fortitude to help you get through the long night. Because it's like a month and a half period where we experience nothing but darkness, but it feels like half a year. So if you can really just hold strong and just remember that it's not that long and there is lightness coming after Yule, you can get through it a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When everything's seasonal, like we have to make room, we have to get rid of things or like be in those dark periods in order to really solidly enjoy that light. And I've been feeling that a lot for this new moon actually that we're experiencing. It was like early yesterday morning, but we're still in that portal, right? And when you were talking about Samhain being like, yeah, the new year, it kind of makes sense that things dying, that signifies the new year because like once things die, it can become compost, you can plant your seed and then something can grow from that.
There's so many fun microbials that exist in dead things and thrive off of them.
Delicious.
Oh.
Any mushroom you've ever eaten ever.
Yeah. Oh,
Anyway.
wow. Yeah. Totally. Hi, everyone. Well, we are entering Scorpio season as of 8 p.m. tonight. And so the Scorpio card that is, the tarot card that's associated with Scorpio is death. So literally what we were just talking about, that's, in order for there to be a sunrise, there must be a sunset. So, things that, need to leave. Another thing about Scorpio that I really like is like, Scorpio is very much about security, a lot like Taurus, its sibling sign, but the difference is the emotional security.
It's like survival.
Yes.
It's not just security. It's like, if I don't have what I need, I'm going to die.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas Taurus is more so like the resources needed to survive, like shelter,
Yeah. So that's kind of like interesting here too, like, and we're never alone. Like, we have to find security. Like, there can be really independent people, but, none of us can actually live independently. We have to all share. So I feel like Scorpio too, that symbol of like going to the depths and like secrets and investigation, like knowing the truth about things. That's the only true security, is knowing like the actual truth of a matter.
Okay, spooky.
I mean, that's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling the Scorpio. But anyway, so that's kind of like the death card. It's symbolizing like for any, that's the only constant in life. Because another thing that Scorpio is a fixed sign. So the only constant is change. So even though, like, I feel like Scorpio is like the most willing to change of all the fixed signs, like,
because it's water.
and it's definitely, and you would know, you have some Scorpio placements, or you at least have a Mars Scorpio, right? So beautiful energy. Did you have anything you wanted to say as well with the death card? So that's like just the main overall Scorpio energy. But then we also have the judgment card. I wanted to talk about judgment specifically because it's signified by Pluto, and Pluto is a modern ruler of Scorpio. So, we could also talk about Mars, which is the Tower card, but we'll save that for Aries season. But yeah, judgment, we were also talking about like that in the meetup, like Pluto being, it's very similar to the death card in that like something has to come to an end to
some transformational subset, in some sort of regard. Like, you have to let things go in order to provide new growth.
Right. You can't just keep growing infinitely. Like, you're going to run out of space, or
You'll hit your carrying capacity at some point.
Definitely. So Judgment Day, that Pluto, it's very much like, who judges you? I think that was something that we were talking about, which is really interesting because, like, a lot of people say like only God can judge me, whatever, and like, but also we are influenced by other people's judgments. Sometimes we make our own decisions, based on other people's judgments. But this is very much, it's almost at the end of the tarot major arcana. This is like right before the end. It's card 20, and then 21 is the last card, the World. So that's like the closing of the chapter. So this is right before the end. It's like the Judgment Day, like, what is the wake-up call? What needs to be finished off in order to actually have this maturity and closing of the cycle?
Yeah. I've always viewed the Judgment card as like that long look in the mirror where like you kind of call forward everything about yourself that you've been like neglecting, and you're kind of just like looking at yourself and understanding the parts that you want to keep and you don't want to keep.
On not only a conscious level, but also on a subconscious level too, to like really like stare through just the surface level of something and get to that deep side of it,
which is very Plutonian, like so Plutonian. So any other additions for the Judgment card? Cool. So then we also have the 5, 6, and 7 of Cups here, and that tells a nice little story. I've been really resonating with the 5 of Cups lately because it's like crying over
Mars.
What's that?
Mars?
Yeah, Mars, especially Scorpio.
Mars.
Which right now at the time of recording, Mars is in Scorpio. So we all probably are feeling this at some kind of capacity. But, it's very much about like 5s to me in the tarot are about breaking a pattern, of breaking a cycle of some kind. And if you can't break that pattern or cycle, then you have to start back at 1 instead of progressing to number 6. So I always see like the 5 of Cups, well, not always, but I often see the 5 of Cups as like, what is it going to take within you to make that shift of like not being so obsessive, that Mars Scorpio, like so obsessive about like, basically what you've lost or the past or like what's not there, and turn around and see what is there and appreciate what is there, and having that balance too. Well, I'm still in like Libra mindset too, because Libra comes before Scorpio, so there has to be a balance in order for this to also occur.
The word obsession is such a good word to describe some of the Scorpio themes, because like if you've ever met someone with like heavy Scorpio Mercury or like other Scorpio placements, it's almost like they have a claw, like they like hold on to it and they can't let go. So if you're in this death energy and you're stuck to this guy, it's really going to do you a lot of good by like maybe just letting go and just for a second focusing on something else, or maybe trying to see a different perspective. And that could lead you into some of the other cards that Scorpio has to offer.
I feel like the Five of Cups is a lot about like your primal survival instinct, right? It's the necessary violence that you need. You need to knock some cups over, you know? And sometimes, you know, that has a cost to it. And there's a cost to transformation as well. And that cost is more than often than not through confrontation with sense of self.
Right.
And that's just, you know, the cost of losing something is losing a part of yourself as well that you used to hold on to that.
It's like you can't have your cake and eat it too, because it's like if you do want to transform, you have to let go of something.
Yeah.
Yourself, people, things, you know.
Habits.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and I think we've explained this before, but I don't know if I guess I can explain it, but like why the 5, 6, and 7 is associated with Scorpio specifically is because these are, you know, Scorpio is that fixed sign, and we go through the tarot numerically through cardinal, fixed, and then mutable. So we start with the 2, 3, and 4. Those are the beginning of that energy. So that's going to be cardinal. The 5, 6, and 7 is then the fixed middle energy, and then the 8, 9, and 10 is then that mutable energy. So because this is water, fixed water, that's associated with Scorpio.
Actually, fun fact, you get cardinal, fixed, mutable in the decans as well.
Oh my gosh.
So this is the cardinal
decan.
So it's that primal survival instinct of this decan of Scorpio. So it is like a cardinal view for that fixed Scorpio energy. Obviously, the whole sign is still fixed majoritarily. This is like a subset of that.
Yeah, but then there's like the cardinal part of the fixed part of
the
that.
fixed, and then the mutable part of the fixed.
Yeah. You just blew my mind.
Oh.
You teach me so much about decans. I love it.
I love the decans.
Yeah, they are awesome.
Well, tying into our second decan here, we've got it's Sun Jupiter ruled. So solar by the Chaldean order, so it's very like regal.
For the 6 of Cups.
The 6 of Cups.
So if you can break out of this 5 of Cups, if you can do that transformation like you were talking about, release the old, embrace the new, if you can turn around, I love the imagery of this card, honestly. If you can turn around and see that you have more here, like this is just one snapshot, like you never know, maybe there's a bunch more cups outside of this image that you never know, but if you can reach that 6, that's the more happy, sorry Zane, anyway,
no,
like, this is the more happy, like, here guys.
Constantly just
yeah, I know, literally.
And I made you be in the middle today too, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
But yeah, like you can have that like nostalgia. This is like my favorite of the Scorpionic like minor arcana cards, just because it's very like nostalgic and happy and like caring.
This is where my Mars is, so I would like to talk about it for a second. Yes, it's nostalgia and stuff like that, but I feel like it's the rebirth of your heart after devastation.
Oh.
It's how can I...
Which makes sense.
Still transform after this 5 of Cups energy and find light again. That solar energy, right? And this is solar Jupiter, one of our benefic planets by triplicity rulership too. And I feel like it's a lot about using Scorpio's venom not as a poison, but as a medicine.
Okay.
Yes.
That was all.
Yeah.
Well, and you also were was it you who was talking last time about like delusional energy with this card too? Because it's like a card.
Delulu.
It's a card of memories too, in a way. Like water contains memory, and so like I feel like when we look back at like those happier times, because this is also 2 children sharing emotional. Like when we look back on the past, sometimes we think of it as more fond than it actually was.
Yeah.
Or
well, like the way that I see the 6 cups is within water. We have so many emotions that you can experience with that water, whereas the 6 of Cups kind of taps back into the softness, like how water can be soft. Because like in 5 of Cups, it's so like, it can be a little harsh, it stings, it kind of hurts, you know, there's all that pain, but then you let the waves settle and you get back to this softness, which is the 6 of Cups.
yeah.
And it kind of is used for healing and growth, which is represented in the flowers.
And it's Scorpio, Sun, and Jupiter, you said? Yeah. So, like, bringing a little warmth and optimism to that energy, for sure.
It's, again, seeing something as devastating and turning it into something that can be beneficial. Taking that venom of the scorpion sting and making medicine out of it.
That's really fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Hell yeah.
That. Cool. Well, and then from there we move into the 7 of Cups here. Lots of options. This was probably our most, like, I wouldn't say controversial card, but we had a lot of different, like, interpretations of this.
In your tarot group?
In the tarot group, and also, I mean...
That's so funny, because it's the card of overabundance of choices.
That is,
Literally.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's all these different cups, and, like, cup symbolizing, you know, your emotional state, or, you know, what fills your emotional cup, you know, whatever. You know, sometimes there are certain things in your cup that are really rewarding. Like, I really like the gems in the cup. It's like, oh yeah, that's like wealth, right? Emotional wealth. But also there's, like, you know, a ghost in one of the cups, and it's like, is that a cup that you really want to keep nurturing if it's haunting you? You know, I feel like that cup could be like obligation from, you know, a parent or something, that you're just feeling obligated to fill that cup, but it's actually not helping you. It's not actually, you know, reciprocal or whatever.
Or it's like some skeleton in the closets.
Yes.
You know, just some things you're holding on to for no reason. Yeah.
Which is very Scorpio.
On top of that, you're not just holding on to them. You're, like, making a shrine out of them, right? This is, like, devotion corrupted by illusionment, right? So it's that obsession theme that we get with Scorpio coming in again.
Yeah. Well, and I love what you were saying about the venom, because there's also this, like, cup of a snake in it, and I often think of snakes as scorpionic too. It's like when I see this card, sometimes I'm like, well, beware of the snakes in the grass, whatever. But also, the snakes in the grass could be like, you know, we could shed the skin, and it actually could be, like, great. Sometimes the worst people in our life are our best teachers too. So I feel like there's just a lot of, like, different energy with, like, the emotional relationships that we have with all the things in our life, and how even sometimes toxic cups or whatever, toxic things, they can actually help us get closer to where we need to go.
That's a great talking point, because this decan is Venus moon related. Venus by the Chaldean ordership, moon by triplicity rulership, and that's 2 planets about unifying and connection, but it's using that connection even when toxic to your advantage to create that point, or to create art, I guess, out of the toxic mindsets. Like, as much as I hate to say it, like, a bad breakup usually means, like, a good album drop.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know, or, like, they're producing a lot more. So it's the opportunity, I think, to be had with this card, because this is, again, the mutable sign of the decan. So it's like, what are you willing to adapt to and formulate to, versus what are you obsessing over and making a shrine of your skeleton in your closet with, you know?
Yeah, when I think of the mix between Venus and the moon, to me it's just like, it says the material manifestation of all things Venus. So we have the gems, the luxury. We also have people. But when we emphasize Venus, we also emphasize the lack of harmony. So enemies, things not going well, things that we don't want. But one thing to keep in mind about this card is that since there are so many options, it is very easy for people to become like overwhelmed and just check out mentally. Very much like doom scrolling. You've just been scrolling, there's all these things coming at you, and now you're not even paying attention anymore. So if you have lots of options and opportunities, rise to the occasion and don't just check out mentally.
I love that. Well, and I want to say one more thing too.
Yeah, go for it.
It's like a very shadowy figure. So I feel like this is also very much about the shadows. It's like, where are we investing our emotional energy, like subconsciously even, or like without even being aware how much we're giving energy to someone or something that is draining us, or might not be offering us, or maybe it's feeding into us and we don't know. But did either of you want to talk about like the transition from 6 to 7?
Well, just the journey of these 3 cards is so dramatic, because we go from the 5, which is like, I don't have enough, all the way to the 7, which is like, I have too much, you know? And like in the middle is this like nice little sweet spot of like enjoying your warmth and kind of like calming down. And so it is a wild ride, and not even to mention that it is all under the umbrella of death. So you're going through this transformation of like, lacking things to having too many things to, oh, maybe I should just chill with where I'm at, you know? So it is a really interesting transition to go through.
Definitely. Thank you. And I think that's all we've got for the tarot today.
Well,
not a terrible
good luck.
thing.
Happy Scorpio season to all y'all, and let us know in the comments down below how you feel the shift of even the sun moving through those different decans over the next month or so. So, with that, we'll go into Astro Weather. A lot was happening in the sky, but we focused on mainly just like inner planet transits and things like that. A lot of ingresses, a lot of retrogrades, things that are happening. I have my little almanac right here for these losers to look at as well. We included in that loser nip.
We're not paid for this, but also if you don't have a
love.
Go to honeycomb.co. Get yourself a planner if you don't, an astro planner. It literally will, I don't know, it amplified, because you can type in your own birth information on there, so it'll tell you all the different transits, how it's impacting your direct chart. So anyway, just an unpaid plug, but I love this tool so much. I will preach it till the day I die.
There's a lot of transits that we didn't necessarily like cover in the meetup, so we'll just kind of focus on the ones that we did cover. At the end of October, on the 28th and the 29th, Mars will form a nice trine with first Jupiter and then Saturn going retrograde in Pisces. And I feel like this is just a lot of effort and energy about just what motivates you on that broader social level, and how can you embody community with the current socio-political restrictions in which we are placed in. You know, like that's Halloween weekend, well, beforehand, but it's Halloween week, you know, it's like, oh, are you planning parties with your friends, or are you being like, oh, I don't really want to like go out past like this time at night because I'm scared, you know, not only of the spirits haunting the night, but of ice, or, you know,
the real spirit.
Yeah.
The real haunting.
Well, this conversation is happening all within the water signs. And water is all about like transformation. When you tap into Scorpio, it's about death. And so I think with Mars and Scorpio making these connections with Jupiter and Saturn, this is going to really kick off a story of like deep motivations changing, some inner spiritual beliefs changing, just a personal change altogether. And it's going to start with, did you say it's going to aspect Jupiter first?
Yeah, it starts with Jupiter and then goes to Saturn.
So it's like we're going to have this push and pull within us. Like we're going to feel pulled to grow in one way. And then the next pull is going to be understanding how we actually manifest that into our spiritual and emotional realm. And we are dealing with a lot of heavy Saturn stuff in this. So it is going to take some time. And I think during this transit with Mars, we kind of understand we have this collection of strength and energy, but we are learning to slowly and steadily release it.
Well, and one thing too is that Saturn's going to be co-present with Neptune that just ingressed back into Pisces, so it's really that like personal belief transformation that is happening. Well, that's been happening since the glorification of social media and glamorization of reality that we've been seeing since 2011 with Neptune in Pisces. So this is its last little dip, and Saturn's there with it, so when it's hitting these Mars and hitting Jupiter, it's going to have these things. Well, that leads us actually next to our next
Wait, can I mention
sorry,
something too? No, it's okay. It's just like also the Saturn and Neptune together too is very much about like, also making your dreams reality and making those things, but it's also maybe causing illusions to the structures that we have even within ourselves, especially the ones, Pisces is boundaryless. So when Saturn's there, it's trying to structure something that's impossible, and then Neptune coming back in there to like mess things up again or whatever. It's like it can be hard for us to like find stability within the water, but I do think that that focusing on those Saturn boundary structures, trying to find structure in the impossible, is a big theme too, especially with that Martian energy in Scorpio about like your drive and like having some energy to sever, because Mars is also about severing. So what do you need to cut out to find that security and like find the illusions are not actually what's real and what's not.
I think it's really just like getting rid of performative empathy too with Jupiter and Cancer. It's like severing that sense of like, are you going to this protest because you actually care about the cause, or because you want to post it on your fucking social media feed, you know?
Well, and I do love Saturn and Jupiter together because, they're opposites basically. Jupiter all about expansion, Saturn more restricting, and they're kind of like working together, it seems like, in this Trine conversation of like, okay, how can we expand without going too far? We have to expand through limits. Right.
Yeah. One thing globally, Jupiter in Cancer is very traditional. It's very homebody, keep with like their traditions, the roots. And we've seen that a lot in politics, or like ever since the beginning of the summer. And with Mars and Saturn here, I think there's going to be a little bit more push in that direction, unfortunately, in current administrations. And I mean, Mars rules military, Saturn rules things like government. So I think this is also going to be a time of like setting more of those practices into place.
And then Mars will move into Sagittarius on the 4th of November, which is right before our little full moon that we have at 13 degrees, 22 minutes of Taurus on November 5th, which I know we didn't get to talk about, but I know you mentioned a lot about the full moon. I don't know if you wanted to...
Well, I mean, a Taurus full moon. I just like, it's a time of fruition, so maybe you'll want to look in your chart. I like to just see the practicality of it. I didn't actually look at the astrology of that full moon specifically, but maybe you look back 6 months ago to the new moon in Taurus to just see like what seeds were being planted at that time, and see if anything's coming to fruition for you now. But that's really all
I also skipped 2, so my bad. We're going to backtrack a little bit back to November 1st. I fucked up.
Well, and we're in a new moon right now, by the way. So I think we mentioned that too.
Dark.
It's a Libra new moon, so anytime there's a new moon, you have to have a new beginning. A lot of death.
You got a death.
But on November 1st, Saturn and Jupiter will get to the same degree as each other. They will not go exact until August of next year when they're in fire signs. So when Saturn's in Aries again and Jupiter is in Leo. But this water sign energy that we'll be having as they get really, 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 really close to that trine is going to set the groundwork for whatever is going to happen next August.
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanted to...
Yeah, I mean, they're not exact by the minute, but since they're still within the same degree, you can still, like, tap into this energy. Like, the story of the trine might not come to a climax until they are in fire signs and they do go exact to the minute. But for now... I think, like, it's just a really good time to explore what growth means to you and how you can actively, like, and spiritually put structure behind it. I do think, since Jupiter is on, like, the superior end of this trine, that, like, we're going to be chasing after something, but Saturn's going to be behind us saying, like, okay, like, this is a good idea, but what's, like, the budget? What's the time frame? What's your energy level? Also, during this time, be careful of, like, just this, like any decision really, whether that's small or big, because no matter what Jupiterian decision we make, Saturn's going to be right there giving us karma.
Yeah. Well, in the water trine first, again, it's not exact, but
it's close.
That's more about like the feeling, like getting like the feelings ready and like preparing yourself, because fire is intuitive just like water is, but it's more action oriented. So it's like maybe we're getting our inward or like feeling energy, like our intuitive energy ready. So then when it really does exact, when it goes in those fire signs, we're ready to take action.
Yeah.
Hell fucking yeah, I love that.
And this might not be like a super quick manifestation or a super quick like energy that we travel through, because first, Jupiter is going to station retrograde mid-November. Then at the end of November, Saturn is going to station direct. And because they're changing directions around the same time, they're both moving extremely slow. And they're kind of stuck in this 25-degree range. During that time, we have so much happening in Scorpio, a Mercury retrograde.
They actually station at the exact same degree in minute, but like 2 weeks after each other. So Jupiter will station retrograde at 25:09 on November 11th, and Saturn will station direct at 25:09 on November 27th.
Ooh.
Sorry, I didn't realize.
No, that's really cool.
So if you have placements around that degree, I would definitely, or like water.
In that last decan of, water signs, I definitely pay attention to this Jupiter Saturn. I mean, obviously these are two of the slowest visible planets that we have, so it's not going to be like in your face like a Mercury or a moon transit would be, but it's still definitely setting this groundwork and setting these frames.
Yeah,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
you're
off
fine.
like that.
No, so since both these planets are moving extremely slow, they are stuck at this 25-degree in the water signs for like all of November, a little bit of December even. And so like during November, it is a lot of slow growth, a lot of slow seed planting and decision making. It's a rich energy, but you just have to be patient.
Beautifully said.
Patience. Oh God.
And then on the 2nd of November, we do get an exact square between the two benefics, Venus and Jupiter, which Bren has clocked me. And benefic and malefic, I don't think we've ever like talked about this on the podcast, so I just want to make this clear. These are not extremes. These are subjective. Jupiter and Venus have an affinity to act more positively or more harmoniously. Doesn't always mean that it's a good experience for a native. Like, if you're going through Jupiter-Venus conjunction in your 6th house and maybe you find out that you have heart cancer or something. I don't know. That's like an extreme. But that's still the benefics doing benefic things, you know? Benefic and malefic are subjective, but it is the two good doing, I guess, planets in a tension building aspect with each other.
Yeah, I mean, like, some of these things, it's all archetypal, so, like, the reason Saturn is malefic is because it has to do with, like, delaying and karma and structure, and to some people, that's not a great feeling.
Yeah.
Or isolation.
You know? Exactly. Yeah. Some people, that's not a great thing. And then with the benefics, they do rule things like harmony and like a luxury and things like that. But what happens when it comes more so just so simplistic, like you have a Venus thing, but it's ruling like your body, you know, or your mom or something like that. It's a benefic, but sometimes it can just be very simple things, very simple energies.
Yeah. Well, and like, my hot take basically that we're talking about is that like there's no such thing as a benefic or malefic, and I'm not saying I'm not going to stand by that like forever, but yeah, just like the point that's being made is that just like other aspects like a square or a trine or whatever, it doesn't mean that it's, you know, a square is usually like tougher energy. So when we're talking about this like Venus square Jupiter, which I actually have natally, it can be like, you know, I'm like,
that explains so much.
Yes. Okay. So it's like over generous, over giving, and like, but also like the consequences of that too. Sometimes I give more than I actually am open to even receiving. So then there's an imbalance there.
Yeah.
That was like my main talking point about this transit. So that's why it makes so much
sense. I
sense.
almost brought it up, but I was like, well, I don't want to talk too much about myself. But...
Yeah. I just think it really has to do with like the feeling in the moment, because like we are human and we are like stuck to the waking moment. And like during a Saturn transit, you know, we do go through that isolation and the hard decisions, the troubling times. But when we look back on that Saturn period, whatever it was, you would probably be like, oh, wow, I'm glad that I went through that. It really taught me a lot. Whereas like with Venus, you could be having fun, partying, but when you look back, you're like, I kind of got drunk way too much. There's some excess.
I spent way too much money on alcohol.
Oh,
exactly.
Yeah. You like wake up the next morning, you check your bank account, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
That bartender was cool, but did she deserve a like $50 tip?
Oh my god.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
The answer is always yes.
There's some benefics, there's some malefics, but their stories are often a lot higher and harder for us to understand until after. Yeah.
And one fun thing, if you're okay with me moving on.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah.
Is when Mars moves into Sagittarius land on the 4th, it immediately opposes Uranus, because Uranus is at 0 degrees 8 minutes of the sign at that time, because Uranus moves back into Taurus on November 7th, which is only a couple days after that, and we'll have that from November 7th until end of April, I want to say, of next year. We'll have Uranus back in that Taurus energy. And I really feel like with Mars in a fire sign now, this is where your impulses are going to outrun wisdom. Like everything that like you've been thinking about, Mars is just, oh, no, too fast. Mars is literally, that first decan of Scorpio or Sagittarius is the Lord of Swiftness. It's like, do now, think later, you know? So we have that in a direct opposition to such like a verbose outer planet as such as Uranus. It's a lot of like reckless impulses biting you in the ass.
Well, they could.
But
also sometimes like Sagittarius is very direct. So sometimes like Sagittarius is very much like blunt and direct, and especially with that Mars, it's like it might hurt what Sagittarius is saying, but also sometimes the truth is what we need to then shake things up, that Uranus energy, to then have more information.
Sagittarius is like the spiritual teacher, like the wisdom, like that kind of stuff. So with this heavy Mars in Sagittarius aspecting Uranus and Gemini, our mental thoughts, our mental realm, I just feel like during this time people are going to be like asking, is this efficient? Is this worthy of my time? And that's where this opposition might manifest.
Well, funnily enough, something that my Scorpio stellium boss has really been like pounding into my head recently is you might want to say this thing, but that person might not be able to hear you in the way that you speak, like in the way in which you say things. So it's all about like really just taking that second to like really think, be like, yeah, I want to say this shit, but, like, is this person even going to be open and willing to, like, talking about this? In a personal example, not really personal, my friend is, like, in a really bad situationship, and a lot of the things that I've been going through her, and one of the things that I actually talked to Moses last night about is, like, how, if you were outside of this situation and you were your best friend talking to yourself, like you were talking to your best friend, what would you say? And Sam was like, I would tell them to break up with this. And I was like, yeah, then why are you still in this? Why are you hurting yourself like this? So it's just kind of like the rethinking those things before they get a little bit too reckless.
And we can use the wisdom probably from like what we're going through now with the Mars Scorpio, which is very much more like tactful. Like some things need to be secret. Some things you don't say. And I was actually watching like a Chris Brennan video this morning, and the way that he communicates too is very much that like he will pause. He will be very calculated. Pause. Yeah, it's very calculated. Well, it's not a millennial pause. It's more like he's in the middle of talking, and then he just wants to make sure that the right word comes out. Instead of saying like or whatever, it's like, no, he's calculating, you know?
It's like a buffer.
I think it's just years of trying to like get rid of his own filler words.
The way he communicates is amazing. It's very Scorpionic, and I know that's more like, he's got a stellium Scorpio too.
Well, he's got Mercury and Saturn in Scorpio in the 10th because he's an Aquarius rising. I don't know what else
he's got a lot. There. I think he's got a lot there. I don't know. Is he a Scorpio?
I think he is.
I think it's like because his whole purpose. Yeah. He's amazing. But anyway.
Well, the last transit that we really focused on was, speaking of Mercury, Mercury conjoining Mars on November 12th. So we actually just had Mercury conjoin Mars in Scorpio together, but they're going to conjoin each other again in Sagittarius. So we get Mercury moving into Sagittarius earlier in October, and then it goes retrograde on the 9th of November, and then it'll go back into Scorpio for a brief little bit on November 18th. But before that, on the 12th, we get a nice little conjunction of Mercury retrograding in Sagittarius, conjoining Mars.
Yeah. It's important to note, though, that Mercury stations retrograde first and then, like, conjoins Mars.
Because it's moving backwards.
Yeah.
So it's going to be whatever disputes you had in late October when they conjoined, you're rethinking that. You're rethinking the passion, something that Sam, my friend who's in the situationship, was, like, talking about was, like, I can't talk to him right now, and I need to, like, be sad girl and avoid him, because if I did talk to him right now, it's fucking daggers. Yeah. I'm stabbing that motherfucker with words. And I was like, okay. Yeah. Okay. Maybe wait a little bit.
When we, like, we just entered the pre-retrogrades, yesterday. Like yesterday
October
was
21st,
during
the shadow period,
right before the new moon in Libra. So I would say that like also we're already in this energy now. So whatever's happening during this new moon, that is going to be also revisited at some point during this retrograde cycle.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah. So
you're putting the pieces together in your own situation.
The shadow period. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, Mercury moves into Sagittarius on the 29th, and then I was just going to look real quick to see when they conjoined each other. Oh, on the 20th. Cool. So literally 2 days ago. Mars and Mercury were conjoining each other, so that makes a lot more sense for what my friend's been going through.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, any other parting thoughts on transits, upcoming jazz?
No.
Enjoy it, if you can.
If you can.
Yeah.
The disclaimer.
Stay optimistic.
Hell yeah. Then we're just going to really quickly recap the Hermetic Lots and like what they mean in interpretation-wise. And we're not going to spend too much time on this. We're mostly just going to talk about example charts for the last like little 15 minutes that we have here. So what matters the most when looking at Hermetic Lots is going to be the sign that the lot occupies, the ruler of that sign, and how that planet is able to aspect that lot. As well as other aspects. So I put like little interpretation tips throughout the presentation. So sometimes it would be like, oh, if it's like the lot of Eros or the lot of Victory, which are calculated using the lot of Spirit, you would not only look to how they're able to aspect either Venus or Jupiter, but you would also look to how they aspect the lot of Spirit itself. And then vice versa with Necessity, Courage, Nemesis. Well, Spirit and Fortune, which you brought up really well. They are kind of subset. So Spirit and Fortune are like the most important lots, I guess you could say, because they're the sun and the moon. They're the luminaries.
They affect your vitality the most. And like
your vitality and your soul.
Yeah.
And what exactly are lots? Just
They're just mathematical calculations, essentially. So to not go into the whole history of it all, the Greeks were like, yo, what if we did math? And then the Arabics were like, yo, what if we did math? And it just got super intense really quick.
But mostly the calculation involves like the rising sign and the sun or whatever planet.
In a nutshell, it's like a distance between certain planets that you're looking at, and then you apply that distance to your ascendant.
So essentially, the lot of spirit and the lot of fortune are the lots based off of the luminaries in the chart. So knowing if you're a day chart or a night chart is going to come into key with this. With a lot of fortune, you go from light to darkness. So whatever your luminary is, whether it's the sun or the moon, you will reverse these calculations. So that's a key point to remember later. Not every system will reverse them. I think reversals in the calculations are a lot more accurate personally, and historically speaking. But when you go from the luminary to the luminary contrary of sex, so say you're a night chart, you'll go from the moon to the sun in distance, and then take that exact chunk and then just shift it to where it starts at the ascendant and lands at your part of fortune. Regardless if it's calculated via day or night chart, it's really about circumstances of your body, your material well-being, and your health, and how fate manifests in your life, because you're going from from light to darkness. You're going from vitality to the end of your existence. It's going to talk more about your body, your physical well-being. And then on the reverse of that, you'll get the lot of spirit, which will go from that darkness to light. So it's how do you shine? How do you find purpose? How do you find that soul kind of embodiment for self? So it's a lot to do with your mind, your intention, your ambition, your conscious action, and just having like a direct will that your soul is being directed into. So when we look at the lot of spirit, it's more about like, okay, well honestly, when people, I don't know if you guys get this too, where you'll get somebody coming into astrology for the first time and they'll be like, well, what does my chart say is my purpose in life? Or where's my direction meant to go? Most people will turn to the nodes. I turn to the lots. Well, the lot of spirit specifically. And then I'll start releasing from lot of spirit, using Zodiacal releasing, which we did not talk about in this meetup. But I'll look at that to look at timing for peak periods in their eminence, essentially, and how they portray themselves.
Yeah, I look at the lot of fortune. I also, like, as you said, the nodes. I also look at the 10th house. I mean, all these are just really supportive energies in your life. And the lot of fortune, a lot of spirit is just one supportive energy that you can look at.
100%.
Before we get too far away from the calculations, a quick tip, though, with, like, the lot of fortune is that it is going to have some sort of similar relationship with the ascendant as the sun and moon have. What I mean by that is, like, if your sun and moon are trining each other, the lot of fortune should be trining your ascendant. If you did the calculations and your sun and moon are squaring each other, but the lot of fortune in your calculations is completely opposite your ascendant, you need to double check your math.
Or double check what you're putting into astroseek.com.
Yes.
That'll calculate it all for you. Or unless you're like me and spent all the money on Solar Fire and then downloaded Chris's plugin so that every chart that I pull up has the Hermetic Lots on it. It's really not easy to calculate these things. I feel like it's like you have to like no chart like Cafe Astrology or like even Astro.com will give you anything besides fortune.
Right.
Yeah.
So looking at the other lots gives you kind of like the script that is playing behind the rest of these planetary energies, or the motivating force behind it. And that's why a lot of traditional astrologers even saw the part of fortune as your secondary ascendant. So you can even use derived houses to be like, oh, I have Mars fourth from fortune, so like even though that's not the housing that it's in, you can still kind of like have some sort of relation to there's some sort of dissolving in my home life or in my family life that is affecting my physical body, that is affecting my like purpose, I guess.
And one of my favorite things that you did mention in the presentation was that, like, you know, sometimes you meet someone and they don't have any Libra placements, for example, but they act really Libra. That's when you can kind of look at the lots and be like, oh, that is the motivating force. That explains why that energy is showing up, even if we're not seeing that planetarily.
No, I think that's a great point, because I have some like clients who will come in and sit down and talk to me about astrology, and they're like, well, I have like an air rising, but that is my only air placement. Like I don't have anything else that really
I
connects
hate that.
And well, first of all,
pull enough asteroids, you got something everywhere.
I explain like houses, you know, like you do have air houses that do affect you, but then also, like you said, the asteroids or even the lots. A lot of times, like you'll find a lot of fortune and a lot of spirit in these like similar elemental places, and just helps give people a little bit reassurance that they can access those energies that they need, just maybe not through the planets, maybe through asteroids or lots or any other thing in astrology.
I mean, you can still access them through the planets via the planetary ruler of that sign. So say you don't have any Libra placements, but you have Venus in Pisces or something, that's going to amplify that Libra house because Venus itself is amplified. So it's all subjective.
Yeah.
But hell yeah, any other parting notes on just the luminaries parts? Lots?
What about the parking lot? I'm sorry, my least favorite. I hate that they just pave over the ground. Anyway.
It's okay, what are they going to put there anyway? Grass? I hate grass. I have a personal vendetta as a botanist against grass.
Where's your lot of grass?
I don't know. We can look it up. We should look it up. Probably in Virgo, because it's like the education that I received made me hate grass the way that I do.
Ooh.
Well, speaking of Virgo land, the next lot that we talked about was a lot of necessity, which is a lot of Mercury. So with this, you would calculate the distance between fortune and Mercury and then project that from the ascendant. So you're using a lot of fortune with this. So you have to like find a lot of fortune and a lot of spirit in order to find the rest of the Hermetic Lots, which is key point. But the lot of necessity really talks about your duties, your obligations, your debts, and the karmic bonds in which you find yourself in. It's the terms of the contract that Mercury has been writing, right? So if we think of planets as actors, the lots are the scripts that are driving these actors. So again, if you have Mercury, let's say, in Sagittarius, but you're a really fucking responsible person who gets a lot of shit done. Not to say that you don't, if it's just Mercury in its detriment, you know. But that kind of energy could be described via your lot of necessity. What is really driving Mercury's will? You know, say your lot of necessities in Capricorn. Well, hell yeah, you're going to be super, you have like 80 million PowerPoint presentations ready to go and a million like to-do lists, like ready to push out into the world. And then a lot of Eros, as I spoke to earlier, Venus and Jupiter used a lot of spirit as opposed to the other lots using a lot of fortune. So you'll take the distance from spirit to Venus and then project that from the ascendant. And that really just signifies your desires, attachment, artistic inspiration, or really whatever draws your affections. So yes, you could be a very lovey-dovey individual, but if you're constantly taking passion project, rat, toxic partners, maybe your lot of Eros is explaining why your Venus is acting the way that it is.
Yeah. During the meetup, one example chart you used a lot was Billy Joel. And we had talked about like how he ended up marrying like his best friend's wife and how like it pulled all these emotional strings for him because like he's screwing over his friend, but he's also like
he was like so hurt about it.
Yeah, madly in love with this woman. And then when we looked at his lot of Eros, it was conjunct Neptune down in the 4th, also really close to his moon. And so I just felt like that clearly like
and his south node.
Yes. Clearly like explained and talked about the way in which he connects with love and stuff like that is like it invokes all these Neptunian things and it really gets down to his core, the 4th house.
And even though his Venus is naturally in Taurus in the 11th, you'd think, oh, he must collaborate a lot through his musical career, and it's probably what gives him a really good voice, Venus and Taurus, because his sun is also there. But it's like the dirty script behind all of the like hidden nuances to his love life can be found with that lot of Eros. And then you can also use a lot of Eros to release from in order to see those areas of heightened importance in regard to your love life.
I do have like a broad question if you wanted to answer it. If like, you know, you have a lot of lots in one like area of your chart, say like they're all in Taurus or something, is that any like significant thing?
I mean, it's all to do with the place, the calculation. So that just means that you probably have a stellium of planets in some sign that are equidistant to either the lot of spirit or the lot of fortune. And then in calculating those lots, because they're stellium, they're all pretty close together. They're all going to be pretty close together.
So would that mean that the lots are kind of working together? Okay.
So the script is just the same. They're playing by the same playbook, these planets. So even if they are in a stellium together, not only do they have that same energy together, but they are also like running by the same script with each other.
Yeah. I mean, in that scenario, I would also look towards aspecting planets to those lots, because something at the beginning of Taurus might not aspect anything, but something at the end of Taurus could.
Great point.
Using like a 3 to 5 degree orb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're also going to be in different bounds, so the lots themselves are going to be playing by different rules. They're going to be in different decans, so they're going to have different faces to them in their expression, so it's all subjective.
And your orb is 3 to 5 for the lots, right?
Well, no, I was just saying like using like various orbs, because it really depends on the aspecting planet. Like obviously the moon, you can give it a bigger orb compared to like Saturn, which barely moves.
Yeah.
I'll talk about like co-presence and like loose orbs, but I won't like talk about it as if it's like an all-defining thing unless it's like a degree away from each other.
Cool.
Because it's a mathematical calculation, you know, it's not like an actual physical point in the sky. And because of that, I like to use really tight orbs with anything like that. Moving on then, we get the lot of courage, or the lot of Mars, which talks a lot about your confidence, aggression, your risk-taking abilities, or how you act under conflict. So yes, your Mars will be your outward expression of how you deal with those things, but what's like going on behind the scenes, like what causes you to feel those ways or to have that sense when related to conflict. Like some people are like, oh no, I'll like talk my friend, like if my friend is being like shit on, I'll be the first person to defend them, but if somebody's shit talking me, I'm just gonna sit there and be quiet, you know. And that can be seen with their lot of courage, where that's placed, how it's aspecting things, where the ruler of that sign is able to aspect or not aspect that lot, things like that. Or if, say for example, your lot of courage and Mars are conjunct, you're gonna be in everybody's face all the time. You're gonna be like, no, this is the way that I want to do it, and if you don't like it, get the fuck out, you know.
So would that give like, yeah, just an extra boost of Martian energy?
Well, I guess it would depend on the sign that it's placed in, because if it's both in Cancer, then maybe you're just sort of like
extra passive aggressive.
Yeah, extra passive aggressive, essentially. But yeah, moving on, we get the lot of victory, or the lot of Jupiter, which is about recognition, public success, or moments of acclaim or vindication. So I don't know. Have you ever like roasted an incel online and just felt like so validated in doing that, you know? And you get like a bunch of people, and like it's just like a comment on some other video kind of jazz, and it's like you get like 30 responses of people being like, yeah, get them, you know, or shit like that. Like you gotta feel a little proud of yourself sometimes. If you're doing that like in an internet setting, maybe your lot of victory is in, I don't know, Aquarius or something, or conjunct Mercury, so you do that with words, or the way in which you process things, kind of jazz, or change other people's processing systems in order to feel vindicated yourself.
Yeah, from like studies and things that I've heard, especially like during our presentation, it seems to be very much like the way in which you can be victorious and the way in which you like celebrate yourself when you are victorious.
Because there's plenty of people that have amazing achievements and they don't celebrate it.
It's never enough.
They're like, don't look at me, it was nothing, you know.
There's either really humble, or they're like really ego driven and they're like, no, I need to do more, you know. And those things can be seen through the lot of victory. So our last lot is the lot of Nemesis, or the lot of Saturn, which is kind of the counterpart or the counterweight to the lot of victory. Talking about what undoes your pride, where you face consequences, and really what humbles you as a person. Saturn is all about saying no. So when we look at the lot of Saturn, it's about, okay, well, what does that no mean, and where is that no coming from? Like, what are the reasons or the rationale behind that? And some people with really not well-placed lot of Nemesis can have really bad humbleness, but then some people with very prominent or well-placed lot of Nemesis can be like the most humble person in the world, like Mother Teresa or something.
Does this also indicate like your actual Nemesis, like people?
No.
It can't. No. This is an internal thing?
You can find anything and anything in the chart, you know, but if you dive deep into it. No, it's more about like how you handle nemesis, I guess, or really just how you handle when your pride itself is undone, which is a result of dealing with a nemesis.
So it is more of a psychological thing?
Yeah.
Than, because even if say your lot of nemesis is in your 11th house of friends or whatever, and so that is just how you deal with are your friends also making you feel that way, or bringing that out?
I mean, a little bit of both.
Depends,
I mean, like,
I would
things
agree.
would happen where your friends kind of like sit down and like probably have a conversation with you, like, hey, that was a little too much, or like, hey, take the chill pill. You know, that's your friends, social media, community. That's where you find where you are humbled.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Cool. That makes sense.
It's just more so Saturn, you know, the Saturn touch of like, hey, sit down, like just like chill, you know, wherever your lot of Nemesis is, that's where like Saturn is speaking to you a little bit.
It's the script that Saturn is playing by, you know. Hell yeah.
Cool.
Well, do you guys have any final takeaways about like anything that we discussed in the meetup, how we applied it to Billy Joel's chart, things like that?
So when it comes to astrology readings, the three of us all have different like techniques and styles when we begin the reading. I work a lot with transit work, and during the day, the lot of fortune does change just because like the moon is moving throughout the day, and then after night the calculations switch. And so I'll get a lot of people who want to do something, but they want to know like a specific time. And so I once met with a lady who already had her wedding day planned, but she just wanted to know what time during the afternoon would be like the best for her. Well, I like pulled up the chart. I was like kind of like looking to see what things were going on during that afternoon. Thankfully enough, there was a Jupiter-Venus conjunction. This happened mid-August, that Jupiter-Venus conjunction happening in her 7th in Cancer. And then at 4:30, I noticed that the lot of fortune would come in and conjoin that conjunction. And so I just thought that was a beautiful time. I mean, just applying the things of lot of fortune with, you know, good energies, fortunate energies. It is also ruling like your body in a way almost. And so I just thought that would be a very beneficial time for them. And they reported that the wedding went very well. And I know that their marriage is still young, but they have really just been enjoying themselves.
How fucking
Yeah.
How lucky. That seems pretty fortunate.
Yes, 100%. Well, one of the things that I wanted to add as like we didn't talk about this in the meetup at all, but Taylor Swift has been hot in the news lately for a lot of reasons, not a lot of them good, to be honest.
Marriage, and then an album, and what other like billionaire bad for the environment stuff? Are those the things?
It's billionaire bad for the environment. New album sucks. She released a necklace that has SS lightning bolts on it. Oh. Yeah, like it's rough. People are being like, oh, you're not only like an egotistic billionaire who's doing bad things to the environment, but you're like doubling down on bad billionaire behavior. Which, there's no good billionaires in existence. That is something that I am 1,000% stark on. But she's just not making a good name for herself right now. A lot of her lyrics, like people in like the Dead Poets, whatever. Dead Poet Society is a movie, but that's not the album name.
Dead Poet Club or something.
Or
the Swifties are gonna come for us.
Are you talking about the most recent album?
No.
Before this.
Oh, yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, she was like praised for her poetic lyricism. This new album, it literally sounds like a 4th grader wrote it.
It's bad.
It's I have
Is
only
ChatGPT?
heard maybe I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. I feel like
I haven't listened to it.
Chat could do a little better.
It really just
saying.
sounds like mean girl energy. And a lot of people are coming out from like her past to be like, I knew her in high school and she's always been this mean rich girl.
Well, like, there's been some beef with Charlie XCX because Charlie XCX wrote a song about Taylor Swift being like, you have like so much fame and I feel so small when I'm in like in a room with
like
you.
her own insecurities.
Yeah. And then there's a song in this most recent album of Taylor's where she like dissed that song that Charlie made and practically just called her a coke addict. So, live, laugh, love. Isn't that great? Anyway, Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift's lot of fortune is at 20 degrees, 12 minutes of Cancer. Her lot of spirit is at 26 degrees of Gemini, 15 minutes. Her lot of necessity is at 19 degrees, 36 minutes of Cancer, very close to her lot of fortune. So a lot of, like, she needs to be known for, like, her words are what makes her feel good about herself, essentially. Which, I don't even know why at this point. Like, your words are fucking cray-cray. But anyway, her lot of Eros, or her lot of Venus, is at 13 degrees, 53 minutes of Leo in her 8th house. Her lot of courage is at 1 degree 39 minutes of Virgo, and her lot of victory is at 19 degrees 38 minutes of Capricorn, followed by her lot of nemesis at 14 degrees of Cancer.
Oh, wow.
So I really wanted to just talk about how she's a Capricorn rising at 8 degrees 13 minutes. This is a double D Rotter rated chart, but it was a very specific time, so I was like,
we're gonna just use it? Okay.
Yeah. But her lots all being in Cancer in her 7th house, co-present with her moon and Jupiter at 3 degrees and 7 degrees of the sign of Cancer, Jupiter going retrograde. I just really think it's funny that, like, one of her most famous songs, the, like, Teardrops on My Guitar, the thing that, like, got her really big at the beginning, is, like, a song being, like, fuck this boy. And that's, like, where her career really went right, because it's the lot of nemesis with a lot of necessity and a lot of fortune. So it's the scripts at which her Saturn, Mercury, and Moon are all playing by.
Well, a lot of her albums do come out after a relationship, and a lot of those songs have to do with, like, you did me dirty, like, fuck you, like, this relationship, like, blah, 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 blah. And that really speaks to, like, the 7th house and Cancer energies.
I stand that Perfect by One Direction is the best counter diss track to Taylor Swift's relational thing. There's just, like, one line that Harry says. It's like, if you want to keep writing your songs about me, like, go the fuck ahead. I can give, like, 2 shits. Like, if that's fine, I'll be perfect for you, you know? And I think that that's just such, like, a call out to even who she was back in, like, 2014, 15 era. I don't know when that album came out.
I'm really intrigued to see what happens later in 2026 when Jupiter stations direct. Because I don't know the degree it's stationing direct at, but I can guarantee it's somewhere within these lots.
Well, that makes sense that she's been having all of this, like, amplified relationship energy, also getting married, and or, like, you know, that being a big part with Jupiter in that 7th house too, amplifying all of these lots, amplifying all of that energy.
Well, I think also on, like, a broader scale, a lot of politicians have been using Taylor Swift's relationship and her announcement of her marriage in order to cover up a lot of shit that they're doing behind the scenes, as most media and public figures are usually used for by the government. But Donald Trump even came out and, like, had, like, a whole, like, conversation about their marriage. Like, why do you fucking care about Taylor Swift? You're the president of the United States. Shouldn't you be, like, actually doing shit and following our Constitution?
I mean, you would think.
You would think. But anyway, I digress. I just thought it was funny that Nemesis, Necessity, and Fortune were all in the same house, which means that they're all ruled by the moon, which is also in Cancer. So it's a lot of, like, inconsistent consistency. Like, I feel like with this album specifically, you can kind of tell that she, like, ran out of things to write about, so she's really just grasping at straws. She's like, oh, you wanted to write this song about me? Let me turn it into something that I totally am gonna misunderstand and be a bitch about, you know, because she just wants to embody that mean girl energy.
So, I looked it up, and Jupiter is stationing direct in March at 15 degrees of Cancer.
Ooh, so right on top of her Chiron, but then also right next to her lot of Nemesis at 1458 degrees.
Interesting. So, yeah, I'm wondering how that, like, humbleness, maybe Nemesis energy comes out in March.
She definitely needs to be fucking humbled.
Do you think, what's his name? The guy, Kelsey, whoever she's with, do you think Travis.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's going to humble her in some kind of way.
Maybe, because Saturn's in her first house at tail end 13 degrees of Capricorn. So it's got to be, she's not humble, so she needs to be humbled, if that makes sense. And it has to be, like, her specifically. It's her image that is needing to be humbled, and her as an individual. It's not, like, just her career. It's not, like, just her home life. It's, like, everything about her needs to be humbled.
All right.
That's just my personal 2 cents. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to, like, pull up an example chart that I would be so angry about.
No, you're just so funny.
Do you guys want to, I don't know if you have any interpretations of her lot of arrows being in her 8th house, conjoined to her south node? Well, not
That's
conjoined.
how she makes her money, like, is through, right, 8th house? Wait, where's...
8th house, 13 degrees versus a 17-degree south node.
Well, I don't know. It just seems like she keeps going through these very public relationships, in that people, like the paparazzi, the media, they want to know the ins and outs of the relationship, that juicy details of, like, what the next album might look like dependent on the current relationship. And then there is such a dramatic breakup and a dramatic, like, album release, which the album is then filled with the emotion of the breakup. So I just think that really speaks on the 8th house themes of finding out secrets, transformation, emotional depth. So
I think with the South Node there, though, that's telling her that her script to her love life needs to chill the fuck down. She needs to, like, let go of things.
Yeah.
And yes, the South Node can corrupt via depletion, but I feel like it's not doing enough of that corruption for the way that she is working through shit. Sorry.
Well, no, you're fine. Two things that you had mentioned, though, looking towards the ruler of the lot. So how does it aspect Venus? And then also, I don't know, the ruler of her 8th house is the sun. How does that aspect it as well?
Well, her sun is in Sagittarius in her 12th house, so that's in a nice trine to that energy. Well, it's at 21 degrees, so it's not, like, exact by any means. But it's... Oh, you are getting negative backlash about this certain relationship? Just move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Just go date Maddie Healy, a notorious playboy, and think that that's going to go well for you.
Well, I also want to just throw in there that she is a famous person, and this is a very calculated, they do a lot of calculation. I don't even know if these relationships or even this marriage that's coming in, I don't even know if it's real.
I don't think that the marriage
I don't really
is real
think
by
it is
any
either.
means.
It's all calculated.
Really?
They got together the year that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. I think and I am a huge stark believer that the NFL is entirely, like, planned. Like,
oh,
really?
Mm-hmm. It's
Oh, that's so
entirely
interesting.
controlled about everything that the NFL
wow.
does.
Huh.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I just think that's like another addition to that, like, 8th house energy too, like shining, making money, and like, through your relationships.
Well, and then the ruler of the 8th is in the 12th too, so it's like
Hidden.
what we're seeing is not as much as we think it is. Wow.
I know. Yeah.
And if we use derivative houses, the lot that we're pulling from is Venus, right? Talking about the lot of Eros. A lot of Eros in the 8th house, that's Venus is in Aquarius, so that's 10th from Eros. So if we use 7th from Eros, sorry.
Ooh,
So
interesting.
but 7th from Eros, it's just like that embodied, like, your relationship is every part of you when you're in it kind of energy. It's the script that's pulling that. It's like, you don't exist in this relationship. You have to serve your partner. And I feel like she does very often, like, adapt to her partners. Like, when she was dating Jake Gyllenhaal, John Mayer, Harry Styles.
Well,
like,
not Mars in the 12th
shifted.
too,
Well,
like, just indicating some maybe men figures not being in her best interest.
And what's really interesting is Travis Kelce was accused of the same thing.
Really?
Because there were pictures of him and Taylor, and then pictures of one of his exes who is a different, like, ethnicity. Travis looks like two completely different people in those pictures.
Well, they're perfect for each other. It's like if you put a mirror to another mirror, like, what do you even see?
Well, I mean, when you try to get two people into a contractual relationship with each other, you're going to pick two people that do the same.
Well, it just makes sense that, like, a lot of Eros and Venus are 7 away from each other, and it's the axis of Leo and Aquarius. It's like, how can I match our egos? How can, like, what's my picture in all this, and how can I change it to you? There's such a focus on ego and the other person.
Yeah.
Cool. So one thing that I did want to include from our presentation is that Zane pulled up the lot of bigotry in regards to Donald Trump's chart.
So I'll just give you the background to it. AstroSeek, we'll link AstroSeek in the description, but they have a list of, like, over 500 Arabic lots, and I was just scrolling through, just whatever. I saw a lot of bigotry, and I was like, that's funny. I was like, who should I apply it to? I was like, Trump, and then, the calculations just turned out to be very accurate.
It is conjunct his Mars, which is conjunct his ascendant in Leo. I think it was at, like, 26 degrees, was it?
26, or 24.
24, so it's only 2 degrees away from his Mars placement, therefore. And I just thought that was so on fucking point. Like, that is so fucking hilarious. And you find a lot of bigotry via the sun and Uranus projected from the ascendant, too. So we kind of dissected that as a group and, like, looked at that. But just the fact that it's on his Mars, on his ascendant, he is known as being, like, the biggest of the bigots.
Yeah,
and that's his, like, drive, and that's, like, what
That's how he gets his following, and his little cult that, like, kills him around.
He has Mars in Leo in the first conjunct his ascendant. When you apply all those together, he is such a assertive, fiery force, and unfortunately he uses it in a negative way, and it just makes sense that, like, with a lot of bigotry there, he doesn't care that he's rude. He doesn't care about, like, other people's opinions. He has his opinions, and he's gonna force it on you, and he doesn't care. And so it just all like really comes together, especially when it's exactly squared his midheaven.
Especially also when it's in the double Martian decan of Leo as well. So it's even more Martian energy that you just can't avoid.
No.
Wow.
All right, well, that, I guess we'll leave it at that. I just thought that was a fun little parting point, because if we talk too much about his chart, I will go on a fucking tangent, and it won't be good.
You can do a lot of positive things with the lots. I know we pulled out some, like, more so negative examples, but
even the bigotry one would be really useful for each of us individually to know, because it's like, oh, how am I maybe even unconsciously being a bigot in certain ways, or like maybe there's certain areas of your chart that it's like, oh, it's just like a tool to learn about yourself too.
Yeah.
There's like also a bunch of, when you were mentioning doing like the marriage kind of thing, there's like 4 different lots of marriage that you can use as well to like look to see where those are placed and like what's the script behind your ideal for marriage. There's the lot of father, the lot of mother, the lot of beans if you want to get into gambling, not in horticulture, that's a different thing.
There are lots of horticulture too, like
Yep.
wheat and things like that if you want to get into that. But
there's a lot.
yeah. But
thank you, everybody, for joining us for this lecture review. Come join us next month on November 16th, where Bren is discussing all about the 12th house.
Yes.
Do you have any notes for next month that you want to share?
Yes, definitely. The 12th house is like that subconscious kind of mysterious house, like right before, it's our blind spot in a lot of ways. So a lot of people get scared of the 12th house because it's the unknown, it's the mystery, it's, how it could be self-undoing. It's how we also can hurt ourselves. We can be our own worst enemies. But the purpose of this lecture is to, yes, understand that, but also how can we use the 12th house to know more about ourselves and live a more conscious life through the subconscious.
Yes.
So please join us there. And please also follow us on Instagram and on TikTok, and here obviously at Denver Astro Meetup, and also find us individually.
Yeah. I love that.
All these links will be linked down below in the description. So yeah, please visit that and follow us online and get bookings from us all individually.
Hell yeah. And recap just from last podcast that we did, it was our aspects and afterthought, but I did say that I do not have a scheduling system. I do now have a scheduling system back up and running. I got my LLCs coordinated and combined. Cool. So
book with us, support your local astrologers.
Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.